Hi, I'm June Carolyn Ehrlich, an instructor in the journalism program of the Harvard Extension School. I had the honor of being the capstone director for Monique Odette Madan's winning project. Monique investigated and chronicled the deteriorated living condition of immigrants inside the U.S. immigration detention system. Monique is currently a reporter at the Miami Herald, and she worked previously at the Boston Globe, the Boston Herald, and the New York Times. She was recently rewarded the Esserman Knight Prize for immigration coverage during the pandemic crisis. But frankly, it's not Monique's amazing credential that impressed me. It's her ability to listen to people. It's her amazing talent to ferret out information that no one else has. That's what made her capstone so great. We are honored to be sharing Monique's award winning speech with all of you today. I'm sure you will find it as inspiring as I do.
16 years ago, I found my calling in a trash can. I can actually still smell the stench of moldy chicken sandwich remnants. That sandwich's home was the green metal bin at a local park that had become home for me. My divorced immigrant parents battled major drug addictions all throughout my childhood. I found my purpose while pulling wrinkled newspaper pages out of the garbage. You see, my passion for holding the powerful accountable was born out of my own intimate encounters with the justice system. The stories in that newspaper, the Miami Herald, were holding institutions accountable regarding the abuse and deaths by negligence of children like me. I didn't even know what the people who wrote newspaper stories were called. All I know is that the very next day I scurried into my middle school and asked my teacher, "What are these called? That's what I want to be when I grow up." The glowing look on her face is still etched in my mind. "A journalist," she whispered. The people who write stories are called journalists, storytellers who tell true stories. It was a done deal. Years later, I would become a 16-year-old intern at the very same paper, and eventually the reporter who would break one of the country's most pivotal social justice stories of its time, the death of Trayvon Martin. Today, I'm the national immigration reporter for the Miami Herald, the very same paper I had discovered all those years ago. But like you, my story didn't end there. My story, your story, our stories, they're not linear. They zig, they zag, they're neat, they're messy, they're full of love, but also pain. Enter Harvard. You know, my first day of class was a few days after the man who raised me died, mi abuelo. A man who could not resist a Cuban pastelito and wrote me handwritten letters to tell me he loved me, which I'm still finding in his belongings. That feeling of having to sit still behind a Zoom camera while in mourning, clenching your cheeks so that tears do not stream down your face, sounds all too familiar today as COVID-19 deaths close in on 600,000. Like me, you have likely lost someone close to this virus, or someone who's close to someone who's close to you. Going to school probably was not on your favorite things list as homework piled up in addition to your everyday responsibilities. But also like me, you've likely navigated unruly surprises in between. Like my mother's near overdose in the middle of a national mental health crisis within a global pandemic. In many ways, my parents are my biggest life teachers, showing me all of the structural challenges low-income people of color face every day. There are moments that make you more resilient, experiences that grow your heart so that you can continue to trek through. That's what Harvard is all about. It's those very classes that helped us navigate this very specific season in history, oftentimes in very personal ways. It's about becoming knowledgeable about the structural and systemic contexts of the communities I cover as a reporter every day, and the one I come from as a poor woman of color who started her education at a community college while working a full-time job. For example, In my urban policy course, I got to examine housing disparities among those who struggle with addiction in New Orleans. In criminology, we explored restorative justice measures and their success rates versus punitive ones. In storytelling and global justice, we learned about how writing actually brings about healing while bringing in survivors of gun violence to class. In our health disparities class, we examined health outcomes. Who gets to live? Who dies? How is that connected to race, wealth, class? And like my mom, who, if anyone, gets access to rehab? In narrative storytelling, I learned how to break barriers, how to tell my story amid and despite fear. In the words of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist, philosopher, and Holocaust survivor, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. As storytellers, we all have a choice in determining not necessarily what our stories will be, but rather what they will mean. We have a responsibility to truth, as our motto Veritas is emblazoned on our fresh diplomas. Truth moves us to healing, truth calls us to action, and truth drives us to use our stories to change the world with meaning. So tell me, as you walk into your truth, what will you do with it?